Welcome to the Milpark Education 2021 graduation ceremony. A graduation is a formal ceremony at which qualifications, with all the associated rights and privileges, are awarded to the candidates whose name appear in the graduation program. Graduation is one of the greatest and most significant milestones in an individual's life. It is a joyous acknowledgement and celebration of the achievements of those students who have successfully met the requirements for the completion of their qualifications. The graduation ceremony is the culmination of the concerted and consistent efforts of two parties: the students who endeavoured and sacrificed in order to achieve their qualification, and our teaching and support staff who guided those students to this proud and significant moment in their lives. This year, more than 3,000 Milpark students will graduate around the country with qualifications in management, leadership, banking, investments, financial planning, insurance, and commerce. This last year, due to COVID-19, it has been a different learning experience for both students and Milpark staff. I am therefore extremely proud of all of our graduates who have persevered with their studies during this difficult and unprecedented time in our lives to reach their goal of graduating today. So, from all of us at Milpark Education, it is an honor and a privilege to welcome you and your family members to this year's graduation ceremony.
Malupakan isu pondolayo Izwa ini tanda soyetu Kosi sikelela tina lusa polwayo Morena bulu kasih shabasa Yesu Ufedi sedi twale matwenye Usibuluke Usibuluke Si chabasa Yesu Si chabasa South Africa South Africa 80 blow van onze hemel 80 diepte van ons ziel wordt ons eeuwige gebergtes waar die kranse antwoord geeft sounds the call to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land.
We are also honored to welcome Ethel Williams, the Head of Department for the School of Financial Planning and Insurance, as our keynote speaker, as well as our guest speaker, Ethel Williams. On that note, please welcome our School of Financial Planning and Insurance keynote speaker, Ethel Williams.
Executive Dean Marilies Pitter, Registrar Sharon Bender, faculty members, graduates, and guests. It is my honor to be with you today at the graduation of the 2020 class of Milpark Education's School of Financial Planning and Insurance. Today, we have a staggering 1,426 students who are graduating from 7 different qualifications, all within the school. Welcome and congratulations. It is no small feat to have completed your studies in the year that will forever be known as the year the world faced the coronavirus. Hopefully, COVID-19 will not be the only thing you remember about 2020. You should also remember it as the year that you pushed through despite all the uncertainty and hardship and completed your qualification. Graduates, you should be immensely proud of yourself. You have managed to further your studies and complete a qualification despite so many odds against you. The pressures of work, the commitments of your family, the sacrifices in your social life, late nights, little sleep, a lot of stress and worry. Stop for a minute and take it in. Look how far you have come. You may be the first one in your family to complete tertiary studies. You may be a single parent who had to balance your study schedule with that of your children's needs. You may have been sick this year. You may have lost loved ones or your job. Whatever your personal circumstances, and even if none of this applies to you, take the time to acknowledge your achievements and to say to yourself, well done. I am, however, sure, and I speak from experience, that this would not have been possible without your respective support systems. Your parents, partners, children, friends and colleagues who supported you and carried you through this time. To all, thank you. I want to share with you a story of another student. This student was born and raised in Soweto, Johannesburg in September of 1962. She was not born into a wealthy family. Her parents, both originally from Swaziland, were informal traders. To attend high school, they had to send her to go and live with family in Swaziland in order to complete her studies there. After school, she did not immediately go on to complete her tertiary studies. She found a field of work she was interested in, education and law, and first worked for a couple of years in order to save money for her studies. One of the schools she worked at was Naledi High School in Soweto, a mere couple of years after the school was at the center of the 1976 Soweto uprising. Eventually, she went on to obtain her first bachelor's degree at the age of 25 and a second at 28. She continued to have a successful career and did it all as a single parent of 2 children. She had lost her partner when the children were very young and only recently remarried. She had to juggle the responsibilities of motherhood and building a career. How many of you can resonate with this story, even if just partly? I am certain there are graduates here who have had to save and struggle to save money for your studies, who lost a loved one, who suffered trauma, who had to raise children alone, who had to move away from your support system to pursue your dreams. Should you effectively stop here, settle, and merely continue on your path, you will have a good life. However, for the student in our story, this was only the start. She built a reputation of fearlessness, integrity, and excellence in everything she does. She slowly built her career from being a teacher and a lecturer, working at the IEC and Justice Department, to being the Commissioner of the South African Law Reform Commission, and eventually the public protector who famously released the state capture report, which led to the unmasking of the relationship between former President Jacob Zuma and the Gupta family. Advocate Thuli Madonsela has been unwavering in her life mission of service and giving back to the community. From her involvement as a member of the team who drafted the final constitution of South Africa, to her days in office and the establishment of TUMA, the Thuli Madonsela Foundation, she has been a leader for South Africa in ethics and living a purpose, impactful and committed life of service. Not only did she receive recognition from her work in South Africa with awards such as Daily Maverick's South African Person of the Year in 2011, but she was also named Forbes' African Person of the Year in 2016 and one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world in 2014, as well as BBC's 100 Women in 2016. The profession you have chosen, dear graduates, much like the profession of Advocate Tuli, is a noble profession. It is one of service, of dedication to people, and can sometimes be thankless and hard. Speaking from experience, I know it is one of targets, long hours on the line with call centers, frustrated clients, kilometers on the road to attend to appointments in remote places, clawbacks and competition. It can, however, also be immensely rewarding and fulfilling, as you have the possibility to literally affect the lives of clients you interact with. You will be privy to your clients' innermost fears and concerns. You will be their first point of call should they have something to celebrate or have suffered a great loss. You will be their trusted advisor. A great privilege, which does come with great responsibility. You are responsible for the upliftment and image of our industry. It is your responsibility to ensure that you are up to date with all the changes in legislation to ensure that you are the best possible advisor you can be. It is also your responsibility to act ethically in the best interests of your clients and with their best interest at heart and that of yourself and your employer second. You are, importantly, also responsible towards and for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Make sure that you find a balance between work and play. Laugh often and easily, and be unwavering in your uniqueness. On the road ahead, remember these lessons that we have learned from the life of Advocate Madonsela. Be fearless. As a public protector, Tuli fearlessly challenged authorities on situations, especially on the public's attempt to undermine the rule of law. Similarly, you should be fearless in your pursuit to provide the best for your clients and to be the best version of yourself. Let passion be your drive. Whatever you have achieved today, there's always room for more. Just like Tuli and her continuous endeavors to protect our democracy, you yourself have to continue to follow your passion. Your passion to help people make the right decisions now in order to be financially secure in the future. Be yourself. Advocate Madonsela has faced a lot of pressure to venture into politics, to be a member of parliament, despite her own plans. She has, regardless of it all, been true to herself and her personal goals. Similarly, should you face pressures to change yourself, to change your values, to change your career path, remember who you are and what you believe in. Let that be your guiding light. So, graduates, go out into the world and make a change. Be a mover, a shaker, be unfailing in your beliefs. But first, enjoy this extremely special day with your family and loved ones. The day in which you get to pause, pat yourself on the back, and reflect on how far you have come. Congratulations, but remember, your journey has just merely begun.
Thank you, Petru. Our next speaker today is Ethel Williams. Ethel Williams is the first person to earn 5 master's degrees from 5 of the world's top universities: Harvard, Oxford, MIT, London School of Economics and Political Science, and London Business School. This despite growing up on the Cape Flats in Cape Town during apartheid. He has lived and worked in the USA, UK and South Africa, where he has held senior executive positions at the JSE-listed top 40 company and 2 other multinational corporations. He has founded a management consulting firm and 2 NGOs, and has served as chairman and board member of numerous organizations in the private and social development sectors in South Africa. In addition to his academic and professional accomplishments, Williams is an award-winning poet and an author of 15 books. He is the only person to have won the Saul Plaatje European Union Poetry Award twice and has had over 100 of his poems published in publications around the world. Among his books is his autobiography, Pushing Boulders, which chronicles the journey of perseverance and triumph despite impossibilities. He is a regular speaker at literacy and social development events globally. Williams believes that through mutual acknowledgements and compassion, we can build a more socially cohesive and ethical society, and that through resilience, we as individuals can thrive and realize our greatness. He is currently a research fellow at the Center for Applied Ethics at Stellenbosch University and Chief Executive of the Institute of Social and Corporate Ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ethel Williams.
Good day, I'm Ethel Williams. I'm very excited to be here joining with you in the celebration of this significant day of your graduation. Congratulations on getting through your studies. I know from my experience, it's a long, hard slug, so enjoy this special moment. It's something you will look back on for the rest of your life as a significant moment in your life. I love graduations, and as I'll mention in a moment, I've been to 6 of my own graduations, and hopefully number 7 coming up. And I love learning. I love the idea of discovering new things, and you discover new things obviously not just from learning in books. You discover it from meeting people, from visiting places, and I love that idea of new, of something different, of trying to expand what I know, expand my horizons. And so I love learning, I love books, I love graduation. So I'm really excited to be here with you. Perhaps just a few things about myself, because I want to discuss my journey a bit and then draw some lessons from that, which I want to share with you on this momentous day. So I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm also a social philosopher. And as a philosopher, I spend a lot of time thinking about how society could be better on a number of different dimensions. I have the accolade of having the only person to have 5 master's degrees from 5 of the world's top universities. So I've got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from WITS. I've got an MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management in the US. I then did a master's in finance at the London Business School, obviously in the UK. I did a master's in public administration at Harvard, at the Harvard Kennedy School. I also hold a master's in political theory from LSE, the London School of Economics. And I hold a master's in political philosophy from Oxford. And I'm currently completing my PhD at Oxford as well. So you can see why I love graduations. I clearly do. Other statistics, I've written 15 books, and I've got 5 more on the way. I've got a library of 7,000 books. In fact, that's where I'm sitting right now, in my library, my personal library. I've been blessed with 6 literary awards, and there's another accolade I've got. I'm the only person to have won the Saul Plaatje European Union Poetry Award twice. So most of my awards are for my poetry, some for individual poems, some for books. I've started 2 companies and 3 NGOs. I've lived and worked in South Africa, in the US, and in the UK. I've held senior executive positions in South Africa. I was director of strategy for Old Mutual. I was a partner at a management consulting firm. I was a senior director of a business in the UK. So have had the luxury and privilege of seeing some of the world. Anyway, what I'd like to share with you is, and linked to some of those statistics I shared, is my life philosophy. I think we all live with a life philosophy. And the philosophy is intertwined with our goals. So some of us might say, I want to be the richest person on earth, and that's fine in some ways. Or you could say, I want to travel the world, or you can say, I want to run my own business. And so those are good goals to have. but still you've got a philosophy, implicitly or explicitly, you've got a philosophy of how you're going to live your life. And some might say, I'm going to succeed at all costs, no matter what I do to other people. And sadly, some people do hold that philosophy, which I think is quite a destructive philosophy. Some will say, I'm going to succeed in life, but also care for those around me. I think a more wholesome philosophy. So we all, whether we've expressed it or not, have a philosophy of life. And I have, over time, just thought about what my philosophy of life is, because I think that becomes important when we have to make tough life decisions. And so what's emerged for me is my philosophy is going to be that I will travel my path of possibility. I'm going to approach my life as this journey, which is very cliched, and I apologize for that, but I'm going to travel my path of possibility. And I want to explore just what those words mean and what that life philosophy means, and maybe give you some ideas of how this idea of traveling my path of possibility has materialized in my life. Because the things I have been successful at, the things I have achieved, as you'd expect, just as with your successes, they don't just happen, right? They're not just overnight successes. They often entailed conscious effort and conscious decisions to pursue things. And so I want to show how my life philosophy intertwines and delivers what I have accomplished. So the first idea with this traveling the path of possibility is that I'm seeing life as a path. I'm seeing life as a journey. And with any path or any road you're traveling, it's got different terrain. Sometimes it's rocky, sometimes it's sandy, sometimes it's smooth. Sometimes it's a rise, sometimes there's a decline, there are potholes, especially if you're in South Africa, we know how to navigate potholes. There are bends in this path, there are bends in this road. And I think this is important to have this image of your journey ahead and your journey to date as this path, because it's not straight, it's not smooth, but it requires you to decide that you are going to travel this journey regardless of the terrain you're exposed to. I think importantly also with this idea of the path is that based on the terrain, based on your energy or what's happening in your life, you travel this path at different speeds. Sometimes you have to be running. When there's a deadline, you have to be running along this path. When there's a race, when there's only one person who's going to achieve that scholarship or achieve that gold medal, we have to be racing in life and rushing and getting on with it. But we also know, to be realistic about our path, is sometimes we need to slow down. Sometimes we need to be going much slower and let everyone else rush past us. But we know we need to slow down. Sometimes we need to stop along this path and just reflect. And so I find that quite useful. So when I find myself at a particular point in my life, I say, well, this is part of the path. This is a rough patch I'm going through, and this is part of this path that I have to travel. Don't worry, at the end of this hill, it's going to be downhill, and so it's going to be much easier. And I find that quite reassuring, but also it's realistic that life is this path. I think importantly also in thinking about this path is that the road sometimes splits. And so we've got to make decisions. Do we go left? Do we go right? Which degree do I choose? Which job do I choose? Which potential spouse do I choose? And our lives are constantly filled with these choices we've got to make. And so being able to have clarity about our dreams, where we are going, will help us make those decisions. And perhaps the last point on this metaphor of the path is that sometimes there are dead ends. Sometimes you're traveling on your path, you've taken left, and then you get a dead end. Now, my approach has been, that's actually great news, because it says my destiny, my possibilities are not along that path because I've hit a dead end. So as painful as it is and as frustrating as it is, I then got to back up and then take a different path. So to give you an example, I talked earlier about having completed 6 university degrees. I've also canceled or quit 3 university degrees. I started a degree. An example was I was doing a PhD at WITS a few years ago, very interested in the topic, but another opportunity came along. And that's when you've got to say, well, I've got to make a choice right now. I can't do both of these things. What am I going to do? And I used my long-term goals to guide me in making that decision. So I quit the PhD. And I think that it seems almost contradictory or paradoxical or self-defeating to say that we need to become skilled at quitting. We need to know when to quit. So I love the idea of pushing, of being resilient, of not giving up. But sometimes we also have to accept that that isn't the path we should follow. That is a dead end. Change direction and keep going. So that's the path metaphor. I see my life as traveling along this path. I'm not necessarily looking for an endpoint. It's a path of possibility. I want to live my life with adventure, trying new things, being in new places, experiencing different experiences. And so it's a path that opens up to me as I travel it. Let me go into the next part. It's a path, as I was saying now, a path of possibility. It's not a path that I'm driving towards an endpoint and then I say, now I'm done, I'm there. In my philosophy of life, you're never there. You're always growing, you're always learning, you're always trying new things. And so it's a path of possibility. And I love this word possibility because it seems it's open. It doesn't close me off. It opens up ideas, it opens up experiences. And so I can experience something quite terrible in my life, deal with it with an energy of positivity because of this idea of possibility. So just recently, and if you Google my name recently and with state capture, I blew the whistle on corporate corruption and state capture about 1.5 years ago. And I'm actually testifying at the Zondo Commission in the next few days. But being a whistleblower in South Africa is a very difficult thing to do because of the consequences. So I've feared for my life. I've lost income. I had to quit my job. I've lost friends. I've been ostracized. All things which talk about uphill, talking about boulders in my way, talking about potholes I'm facing. And it's been awful. It's been hell going through this. And I've, often when you're going through a tough time, you kind of go, why me? I just want to get rid of this agony and this pain right now. And I felt all of those things. I felt the mental anguish of going through this. But in the back of my mind, I always had this idea that this is just part of my path of possibility. Through this and coming out of this, there are going to be possibilities. And what's been amazing already is that I've had so many opportunities because of my whistleblower experience of being able to share my experience and share my thoughts with others. And so possibilities are already emerging. I've been asked to write a book. I've been asked to write articles. So again, for me, these are possibilities that have emerged because of my attitude and my approach to things. So the second part of my philosophy was this idea of possibility. The third part I want to emphasize is it's my path. The philosophy is travel my path of possibility. And why I'm emphasizing this my path part is it's something I must do, and in many ways I must do it my way. This means no one can judge me in terms of success or failure. And while a lot of people want to say Ethel's been successful or Ethel's been a failure, those assessments are based on whatever measure they're using. You and I have got to decide on what measure we will use to assess our lives. And for me, this is my path. So if choosing to be a poet is a stupid thing or a dumb thing or a counterproductive thing to do by some people's measures, I will hear that, listen to their advice, I will hear what they're saying, but ultimately this is my path that I've got to walk. Now, I don't mean to say you need to be selfish and dogmatic and ignore advice, ignore everyone else, or trample on anyone else. The idea of my path is that I've got to live a life that's meaningful for me. And that's a pursuit. I don't think you ever get there. But as I'm traveling on this path, I keep saying and asking myself, is this the right thing for me? When I get a job offer, I ask, is this the right thing for me? Is this what I want to be doing? I can see why my family might love it. I can see why my friends might love it. But is this the right thing for me? And I then set out to start a number of NGOs, particularly around education and literacy, because those were obviously my passions, but also I know the power of education and what it did for me, and I wanted to enable others to have that same benefit. The last part of this travel my path of possibility is this idea that it's traveling, it's active. It's not sit at home and watch my path of possibility emerge. It's traveling this path, taking the steps, making the effort along this path. Sometimes you got to go fast, sometimes you got to go slow, sometimes there is no path. Sometimes you've got to create your own path. When I went to MIT, when I went to Harvard, when I went to even to WITS, there was no path that my family had laid for me that I could follow. There was no path that anyone had laid for me that I could follow. I had to create that path. And so I encourage you to think about the steps, your next steps. And your next steps might be to follow a well-trodden path, and that's fantastic. But if the path doesn't exist, create it. I think that's where innovation happens. That's where adventure happens. That's where possibility emerges. And I've actually found my most rewarding things I've done have happened when I'm creating my own path, when I'm trying things that are new or unconventional. You know, I was trained as an engineer. How do I end up becoming a poet? And I love the idea of exercising different parts of my brain. And literally I just said, well, let me just try this. Let me try being creative, even though I'm trained in mathematics and differential calculus and physics and mechanics. Let me understand this other part of myself. So the sense of adventure, of wanting to try things. So that has been my philosophy of traveling my path of possibility. And I offer it to you as something to consider, as a philosophy, and perhaps something for you to explore. Perhaps let me just draw out 5 drivers of success that I'd like to share with you from my experience and from that story. One is, to succeed, you have to be passionate about what you're doing. I encourage you to find something that you're passionate about, not just it's okay, but you're passionate about. The reality is, most of us and many of us at different times in our lives will have to do things that we're not passionate about. Your first job out of university might not be something you're excited about or passionate about. That's fine. It's part of your path. But at least as you're looking ahead, as long as you're making your decisions, your choices, pursue this idea of something that you're passionate about. I remember reading the biography of Raymond Ackerman, who was the founder of Pick and Pay. And he talks about just his passion for getting groceries and produce and food and household goods to people. He loved it. He just couldn't consider doing anything else. There's another one of my friends is a painter, and I kept going to him saying, you know, you should get another job on the side, you know, some stability, because who's buying paintings these days? And he just would say to me, this is all I want to do. This is when I'm most alive, when I'm creating, when I'm painting. So I encourage you to find that thing you're passionate about and pursue that. Because then work isn't work. Then you're just living out your passion. So that's one idea, the idea of pursuing your passion. The second one of my 5 drivers of success, and you've probably heard me say this already, is approach life with adventure. Life is good and bad and tricky and joyful and sad and all of those things. And many of you would have experienced this already, but approach it with a sense of adventure. So when you're hitting a rough patch, you say, what am I going to learn from this? How am I going to turn this into a good situation? How am I going to tell the story later on that's going to be so exciting? Live with that sense of adventure. And what happens when you live with a sense of adventure, you're always looking around for cool things to be doing. You're looking around for exciting things to be doing. You actually have more energy about your life because you're pursuing adventure. Third driver of success for me has been resilience. The idea of falling and then getting back up again. No matter how you get beaten down by forces out there, by the naysayers, by the haters, by people who are saying no, the more you can get up from that, the more successful you're going to be. And for me, it's not just about falling down and getting up again. It's about falling down and getting up stronger than you were before. And there's almost that moment, you're along your path, you're traveling your path, something happens, knocks you over, you fall down, and you take that moment there of saying, how am I going to get up and be stronger, not just get up? And that was my sense of going to MIT or going to Boston and being homeless. For me, that was I'd fallen down. I had those moments lying there in the cold thinking, what have I done? I should just go back home to South Africa and get my job back and continue my good life at home. And for me, it was at that moment of being in that point of despair of saying, no, but I will get up stronger from this. And so for me, it drove me to want to graduate, to get that degree, because I knew it would open up possibilities for me. So discover your passion, pursue it, live life, approach it with adventure, resilience. When you fall down, and you will fall down, and you've probably already fallen down many times, but when you fall down, get up stronger. I think my fourth point is to establish some expertise. So you're building your career, you're looking ahead, and you're following everything else I've said. I think you become successful when you've got some level of expertise. And to use a soccer analogy, right? You should be the guy the coach gives the soccer ball to when there's a penalty, because he knows you're the guy who will score that goal. You're the person everyone looks to when there's a particular kind of problem to be solved. What is that expertise you will have? Because the more we have distinctive skills, distinctive abilities, the more valuable we are to employers, or the more valuable our products are that we can create if we're starting our own business. So this could be hard skills. So you are the best at financial modeling, or you're the best at mathematical equation solving. Those are valuable skills to have to be seen as experts. But it could also be other skills. It could also be you're able to empathize with people. You're able to inspire people. You're able to bring disparate or fighting parties together to find compromise, to find the middle ground. These are different skills you need. And I've relied on skills like I'm able to synthesize large amounts of information very quickly. So people will be talking for hours, and I'll say, guys, it sounds like there are just two issues here, and here are the two issues. It's a skill that I've developed over time that people have found useful. So in this path of these five areas of success, drivers of success, I think craft your career, look ahead and think, where am I going to be the guy or the woman that people will call on because of my expertise, my leadership, or my particular traits I've got? And then lastly, I want to suggest that you hold on to your dream. We can so easily get lost as we're pursuing success or pursuing wealth or pursuing fame, whatever it is you're pursuing. But I think it's important to hold on to your dream. And this has been important for me. I talked about this path of possibilities, and along this path, there are things I want to do. When I was in my 20s, I wrote down a list of things I wanted to do, things I wanted to just experience. And some were significant and some might seem trivial, but I had this list. And it was like, I enjoy Bruce Springsteen's music. So I wanted to see Bruce Springsteen live. I'm an Arsenal fan, don't laugh. But I wanted to see Arsenal play live. And then there were other things like I dreamed of going to Oxford to study at Oxford University. Now, when you're living in Mitchell's Plain, in a township, dreaming of Oxford is not even a dream, it's a fantasy, right? It's a fairy tale, because who gets to go there? But these are things I've held out as markers along my path. They weren't my destination, but they were markers along my path. And I did get to see Bruce Springsteen live, in fact, 5 times. I did get to see Arsenal play live many times, and I have been fortunate enough to go to Oxford. So I've kept my dreams alive as I've pursued my life, and with the intention that when I look back on my life, I look back on it without regret, but confident that I've lived a meaningful life, I've impacted other people. And perhaps just to round this off, the work I do now is focused on enabling youth around literacy. I've started an organization called Read to Rise, and you'll see the rise there, rise to be inspired through literacy. And we've already worked with over 200,000 children in South Africa, across the country. And the other part of my work is, as an academic, to train future business and civil leaders in ethical decision-making and ethical leadership. And for me, it's still part of this path of discovery, this path of adventure, this path of possibility of living a meaningful life for myself, but also impacting others around me. So I hope you found something in this little talk I've shared with you. And as a poet, I guess I have to end with a poem. And so I'll leave you with this poem, which captures my life philosophy. It's called One Finite Life. Short this life is, just one I've got. Finite in tenure, whether I like it or not. Death is embracing fear, replacing dreams with I cannot. Life is taking a new step, having a shot. I will do the impossible. I will change the world. I'll give hope to a despairing nation. I'll give bread to a starving girl. I'll break all the records. I'll do what's never been done. I'll give and no love. I'll be a billionaire of fun. You can whip me with your words. You can bash me with your lies. You can chain me to the ground with your rules. You can stab me with your eyes. I'll forgive all personal harm. I'll ignore all acts of mean. But I will not forgive obstruction of my purpose and dream, for I am a Superman. I'm a king. I will not just lie down. I will get up and take to wing. I will rise up. As sure as the sun, as sure as the springbok, I will run. As sure as the eagle, I will fly. Because I choose to live until I die. What will you do with this day, this hour, this minute? Will you fill it with dull and fear, or will you live it? I'll not tolerate any foe, no matter weapon or munition, especially if that foe is within me in the form of fear or lack of ambition. Short this life is, just one I've got, finite in tenure, whether I like it or not. As sure as the eagle, I will fly, because I choose to live until I die. Again, congratulations on your graduation. Enjoy it, celebrate, and good luck with your future.
Thank you, Ethel. I will now confer in absentia the names of the graduates who have met the requirements for their certificates, diplomas, and degrees in the order in which their names appear in the graduation program. Please look out for your name, which will appear on the screen under the qualification that you have achieved. Your certificate will be couriered to you as soon as possible after the graduation to the address you have provided to us. We have now come to the presentation of awards for Milpark Education's top achievers. Awards are presented to the top 3 performing students of any qualification that has 50 or more graduating students from around the country. This year, I have the pleasure of presenting awards to 12 of our graduates from the School of Financial Planning and Insurance across 4 different qualifications. Awards are going to graduates on the Higher Certificate in Financial Planning, Higher Certificate in Short-Term Insurance, Advanced Certificate in Financial Planning, and the Postgraduate Diploma in Financial Planning. The award winners for academic excellence per qualification are as follows. Higher Certificate in Financial Planning, Greta June Buitendag, First Place Honours. Linda Judy Shields, Second Place Merit Award. And Marilise Naomi Creel, Third Place Merit Awards. The Higher Certificate in Short-Term Insurance Awards go to Talbot Bultmann, First Place Honours. Margaret Barker, Second Place Merit Awards. And Anne-Marie Duplessis, Third Place Merit Awards. The Advanced Certificate in Financial Planning Awards go to Meliska de Lange, First Place Honours. Anastasia Mettler, Second Place Awards. And Melody Stander, Third Place Merit Awards. Finally, the Postgraduate Diploma in Financial Planning Awards go to Russell Stewart Lang, First Place Honours. Siobhan Slavitt, Second Place Merit Awards. And Avanti Adarana Ramawatar, Third Place Merit Awards.
Jerusalema, ikhaya lami, ngilondoloze, uhambe nami, zungangishiyelana. Jerusalema, ikhaya lami, ngilondoloze, uhambe nami, Shilana, dawu yami, aikulana, buzo wami, aukulana, gilondolose, suhambe nami, dawu yami, aikulana, buzo wami, aukulana.
You can do absolutely anything you set your mind to.
May this day be the beginning of a future full of success and happiness.
And remember, make a difference wherever you can. Congratulations! Su
This brings us to the end of the formal proceedings and the closing of the ceremony. It has been our great pleasure to welcome all our graduates today. I would like to say a special thank you to our guest speaker and keynote speaker for their encouraging words, and to all our graduates, a massive congratulations. By the powers vested in me, I now dissolve this assembly of Milpark Education.
We are here today with one of our graduates and one of our award recipients, Miliska de Lange. Miliska, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Hi, Patrice. Thank you very much for the invitation.
So Miliska, let's get into the interview. As a starting point, tell us a little bit more about yourself. You can refer to your current occupation, your career aspirations, anything you think our graduates would be interested in.
In what was supposed to be my gap year, after matric, I was offered a position as a personal assistant by my neighbor, who was a financial planner at Old Mutual PFA at that time. And little did I know that this would be the start of my career in the financial planning industry. We then relocated to Rustenburg, where I joined another practice within Old Mutual PFA as an admin manager, and I remained there for another 6 years. So I was fortunate enough to join Southwest Financial Services in 2016, where I'm currently employed as a wealth and new business manager. And I was extremely intrigued with their hands-on, non-conventional approach to holistic financial advice. And this inspired me to pursue my career in the financial planning industry. So I've always desired to be, and it sounds silly, more than just ordinary. And self-actualization has always remained at the top of my priority list. And I'm an extremely inquisitive person, driven by achievement and self-improvement, especially academic achievement. Because at the end of the day, knowledge is the only power that can never be taken away from you. So with the support and encouragement from our key individuals at the practice, I then started my academic career with Milpark in 2017, where I enrolled for the higher certificate in financial planning. And then after I completed my advanced certificate in financial planning in 2020, and I'm now currently enrolled for my postgraduate diploma in financial planning. And I'm extremely excited about this because this will empower me to become the first female in our practice to hold the CFP designation. Yeah.
Wow, so you are literally an alumni, a graduate today, and then an actively enrolled student all in one.
Yes. Talk about a lot on my plate, eh?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Tommy, how do you feel has Milpark contributed to you reaching your career aspirations, to be the first CFP professional within your practice and to look at your self-actualization goals that you have?
Yeah, so we have some other CFPs in our practice, but I will then be the first female. So I think, yay, girl power. And then Milpark enabled me to obtain my tertiary qualification while being employed at the same time. And this opened up a whole new world for me because the structure of the courses and the flexibility of the learning space is second to none with Milpark. And the knowledge and the skills that I obtained through my qualification definitely improved my confidence within the industry. And it also gave me the confidence to weigh in on discussions and give my opinion. which I wouldn't have done previously if I didn't do my qualification. So also through the exceptional support that I was offered by Milpark, I'm now able to further my qualification, and this will equip me then to follow in the footsteps of all the diligent mentors that I have in the practice and the people who sparked my joy for this industry.
That's beautiful. I like that saying, sparking joy. I think that's what all of us strive to have when we work, and just strive to have within ourselves. So that's beautiful.
Yes, I'm actually wondering if we actually have to give credit to Marie Kondo for that.
Yes, that's true. I don't. So tell me, within your experience with us, in your first 2 qualifications and now newly admitted on the postgraduate diploma, what has been a highlight for you in your Milpark career?
So definitely being invited to this interview, that's a big highlight. There's nothing more rewarding than acknowledgement and being noticed by prominent role players within the industry. That's always a major boost of confidence. And honestly, I can't section out one highlight of my academic career, because my whole academic career with Milpark has been such a big highlight and achievement for me. Yes, at times it was extremely challenging, and I thought, am I really able to do this while working full-time and being a student and remaining the balance of still having a social life and being a wife? But I'm so blessed, because nothing worthwhile comes easy, and working hard and receiving my results at the end of each module really made me realize how much I was capable of achieving and how much knowledge I've gained through this qualification. And when I think about it, I can't help to feel proud of myself and all of my other fellow students who challenged themselves to obtain this tertiary.
Thank you, Miliska. Again, I think it's good that you acknowledge the other classmates that you have, the fellow graduates. For today is for everybody a very big occasion. It is a little bit different, having a virtual graduation ceremony as opposed to the traditional face-to-face graduation. But that is one of the results of COVID. And I can just imagine that apart from affecting your work life, COVID-19 also affected your studies. Do you have some secrets you can share with students who are newly enrolled and starting to enroll on their studies in the time of COVID? Or what can you tell us about how you approached your studies during COVID-19?
So my honest opinion about COVID-19 was that it made me realize how resilient we are as human beings and how capable we are to adapt with change. And the change actually brings on so many other opportunities that you never would have had. So I completed both of my previous qualifications via distance learning, and we never had a requirement of attending any classes. So there was no material effect that it brought on. But I did have more time at home, and it afforded me the opportunity to really spend some additional time studying for my last 2 modules of the advanced certificate, which I was so thankful for, because the work was quite intense, especially when you have to work and travel home and whatever. So it cut out a lot of time. And the only challenge that I really had was infrastructure. That was my biggest obstacle, dealing with slow internet or power interruptions, and that sometimes really drove me up against the wall. But what I would recommend is to keep to your study plan and allocate sufficient time towards your studies daily, so that this can reduce the stress that these external factors would bring to a student during COVID-19. Because should you miss a day, or should you miss 1 or 2 hours due to load shedding or internet or whatever, you're not that far behind with your work. So that was a lesson that COVID really taught me, was to just stick to my schedule. And but we were also blessed to be home with our families and see the people that we love more frequently than we would have if this pandemic didn't occur.
Yes, there are so many sad things related to COVID-19, but again, I think so many blessings, as you've alluded to, just having more time with your family, spending less time traveling to work or traveling for work. So really a mixed emotions if you think about the past year.
Yeah.
I also like your advice to students to stick to their study plan and to study daily. I would agree, even if it's just half an hour, because just for today, to schedule our interview, we had problems with load shedding across the country. So it's always good to rather be over-prepared so that little disruptions don't cartel the, what's the appelkar omgooi? What's that in English?
It's not always easy to stick to your schedule. We are all human, and there's a lot of temptations, going out with friends or having a family dinner, or sometimes you're just so tired from your day. But I do try and even if it's just in half an hour, or when I lost a day, I would then try and make up for that day with an additional half an hour the next day, or for the 2 next recurring days, I would do some extra time, or really just, I'm a bit of a procrastinator, so I always say I don't enjoy sorting out cupboards or cleaning my house, but if I have to study, you can just phone me and I'll be there right away to sort out your cupboards and clean your house free of charge, but just when I have to study.
I'm also a procrastinator, so I can definitely relate. That is also my method of functioning. So on that topic, Miliska, what word of advice would you share with prospective and current Milpark students enrolled for specifically the Advanced Certificate in Financial Planning?
So I would just say, take the leap and believe in yourself, and make the sacrifices again to ensure that you put in the necessary time and work, because this pursuit of knowledge will be well worth the effort at the end of the day. And engage with the tutor forum and be part of the discussions. I mean, Milpark has an exceptional online interactive platform which offers you such a great sense of community and camaraderie. And if I think back to all the friendships that I've made while studying with Milpark, it's so nice to know that there's people that you haven't met before, but you've connected to them in such a nice way, and you've networked and reasoned about stuff, and you get the opportunity to give your opinion and hear someone else's opinion and weigh in and really, I want to say, spar with your thoughts. And that was the nicest thing. And I would just again say, keep to your schedule. If you're behind, try and make up. The main thing is, we always tell ourselves, okay, we'll make time to go back. But if we're realistic, we never actually go back, because time elapses so quickly and you can't go back always. So rather just take the time and do what you need to do now and ensure that it's done, because before exam, you think you have a lot of time to revise. But once you get all the content and you want to look at the videos and the slides and the mock exams, you realize that you don't actually have that much time. So prepare as you go. Do your templates, do your revisions, watch your videos. So again, schedule and just trying to keep prioritize, which is not always easy.
I like your advice as well to interact on the tutor forum and to be active online, because at the end of the day, everybody is sitting at home and studying. We are not in a conventional university setup where you have friends in class that you can interact with. And the only way you can then interact is on the online platforms. And I think that's the best way and the quickest way to get over the feeling of being alone and not having support.
Definitely, it's very nice to have that community to support you.
So Melissa, you are now enrolled for your third qualification with us. Your first two were done via the distance learning module. So you had semester-based and now you are on the distance learning online model with the postgraduate diploma in financial planning. I know you've only completed one module there, but tell us a little bit more of your experience, how you felt experienced the different qualifications and specifically the different delivery modes.
So as you mentioned, both my higher and advanced certificate was semester-based. And my opinion about the semester-based delivery is that it's at a much slower tempo, and the material is handled a bit more relaxed. So you do have a bit more time before an assignment, and there is some time to slip away for a weekend or whatever without having to do too much preparation beforehand or planning beforehand. But I also believe that these qualifications that I completed now offered me a solid foundation, which also prepared me to advance to the postgraduate diploma. I'm very thankful that I have the background of the financial planning industry now, because there's a lot of fellow students that entered from an accounting world or whatever to do the postgrad, and the grasping of some of the terminology and how it works is still a bit more complex for them, and they still have to brush up a bit more on the financial industry or the sector specifically. So completing both the higher and the advanced did give me a bit of a leeway into the postgraduate diploma. The postgrad is definitely at a much higher level than I actually anticipated. The induction subject was quite lenient and soft, subtle. But with the financial planning environment, I realized that you really have to put your back into this, because the workload is much more intense and the pace is much more rapid. So you have to be much more disciplined. And I know that I use the word much so much now, but there's no other way than describing it, because you think that it's going to be a bit more difficult until you get your program, and then you realize, okay, you have to really be dedicated to do this. And I'm excited for this challenge because once again, Milpark has structured this qualification in such a way that it is possible for you to keep pace with what is required. It's a fast pace, but they've set it out so nicely, and they've broken it down into weekly assessments. So it's not incredibly bulk assessments at once. So you can honestly concentrate on one portion of work for that week and spend enough time on it and then do an assessment. So yes, the structure is excellent. And I would say that the distance learning online platform is much more interactive than the normal learning. So once again, our lecturers and our tutors offer tremendous support, and they are extremely interactive with us. Every day there's something that they post, or they would give you a heads up to what you need to concentrate on. And so the support is once again very well from the lecturers and the tutor side. And I have to say that they also provide a lot of live sessions and additional study material to equip you to be able to manage the amount of work that's set out in the postgrad.
Melissa, last question. Looking at your grades and the fact that you are an award winner at our graduation, you probably had your choosing of which university you would like to use for your postgraduate diploma in financial planning. Tell me, why did you decide to come back to Milpark specifically for your postgraduate diploma?
So when I left school, financial planning was never actually that I intended to do. I was going to do animal genetics after school, and then I decided to do a gap year. And my gap year turned into a work year, and my work year turned into what I now call my career. So I believe that we have a purpose in life, and our purpose in life is set out way before we even know what our purpose is. And so today I'm content with this career that I chose, and I now believe that it is my purpose to be in this industry. So I was made aware by, I came to know about Milpark during my time at Old Mutual PFA, where they had all their academy financial planners join the course and do their first formal qualification. So then I decided to enroll with Milpark because of the experiences I know they had. And after experiencing it firsthand and realizing the standard of education combined with the support that we get from the Milpark team, the tutors, the lecturers, and also the ease of studying, there was no doubt that I would have chosen any other provider to further my career. So once again, with the postgrad, I had no thoughts about joining any other university, and I knew the way that Milpark structures their things and the support that we get. So without a doubt, I was just going to do it with Milpark again.
Mariska, thank you so much for your time today. Good luck on the journey that is still ahead of you with the remainder of the postgraduate diploma and eventually the professional competency exam at the end of the day. I'm looking forward to seeing you in class and to interacting with you on our course pages. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Petru. And to everyone who's considering furthering their career, remember that an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest.